All right, my name is Zero Cool Gamer, and I am here with the amazing Dinman because we have all these rooms we gotta set up defense for. There's just so many for Ultimate 32 that I'm like, whoo, this is gonna take a lot. But when you look at it, only 3 rooms. Um, I don't know if they're the best rooms, but having your take on it, since you have a majority of the Crucible characters, and anybody using Crucible max the hell out, which is very, very punishing for my ego. But what's your take on this round's U32?
Well, believe it or not, I'm actually pretty happy with it because there's at least one room that I think is going to be kind of interesting and fun. It seems like the last U16 and U32s, there's really hasn't been something that is really exciting or new or interesting, and I think room 3 could definitely turn out to be interesting. Um, I think room 1 and 2 are just rooms. I really don't think the room rules are going to affect much of anything personally. But I've been wrong before. Chances are I could be wrong again.
I mean, you don't really want a trauma with bleeds or anything. You don't want to use X-Men characters with Xavier. Like, I mean, come on. All the X-Men are amazing. Why wouldn't you want to use them with Xavier?
Well, I mean, some of them are unlimited. Some of them are astonishing. A few of them are extreme from time to time. I don't know. You'd think I'd want to use every single one of them. I just, I'm going to be on the outskirts here, and I think I'm going to be the only one who does not want to use Professor X with the Extreme X-Men in this U32.
Yeah. I don't really have a big thing about using anything for room 1 or 2. If you're going to use X-Men characters for room 2, I would say do this on offense because they don't really have a lot of sustainability or reliability to attack a lot of the meta characters now. Xavier obviously is a pain. He's going to be up there, but even with the tags in there, I don't think you're going to be able to. You're probably going to run them over and go right after Xavier, which is what you don't want to do. If you can get to Xavier, there's only a few characters that can do that before he takes a turn, and you stop him. Xavier's done for, and then you just wasted a huge character on it. So, for me, I'm going to keep him on offense and try to be more efficient. I know that's a really interesting term, efficient, but this is an efficiencies game mode, so I'm going to try to do that with them. I might bring in maybe 1 or 2 other X-Men to help out. That might give him some health or something like that, but putting him on defense, I think there's just too much control you could do. If there was 6 rooms, maybe I'd have a little bit more thought out with it. All right, cool. They got to use some of the other stuff against Professor X somewhere else, and they might not have enough to go against 2. But right now, not for me. How are you? What do you plan to do with Xavier? You plan to keep him on?
Well,
You plan
it's
to go
funny
with
that you bring that up because I am putting him on defense.
it? Well, you're
I
not in
am
my
putting him
bracket
on
this week, so I think I'm good. Um,
Yeah, I am not utilizing any of the room rules in room 2, but I will have him on defense. I'm running him with the 3 new Fantastic Four and OG Emma. Um, Obviously, I know he will get crushed, just like all of the other rooms will get crushed. But to be fair, my hope is somebody wants to get a little bit adventurous and maybe try to use Extreme X-Men or Astonishing X-Men or Unlimited X-Men on offense with Xavier in that room and utilize the room rules. And I think they will find themselves in a bad situation if they do with that room. Um, if for nothing else, there was really nothing else for me to put in there. So I've got plenty on offense. So I wanted to at least have Xavier or Odin on defense. So that's just kind of the coin that I flipped.
Well, Xavier is. I'm happy that I get to use him on offense because we usually throw him on defense, and you're like, well, I don't get to play with my shiny new toy. I want to play with my shiny new toy for a little bit. I'm going to try to be as efficient as possible and see if the room rules can, benefit me, but I don't see that they're going to benefit anyone with older teams. Obviously, Immortal's not older, but you don't really want to throw him on defense, so especially with
Mm-hmm.
Professor X. So I'm not going to. Um, room one, I mean, you potentially could just throw Xavier in room one and just call it a day with it and just keep him over there and just ignore room two as a room rule because you're not really going to get much benefit there. The only thing that's going to really happen is you throw Immortal X-Men on defense, but if there was 6 rooms, maybe, but not this go around. I'm just going to treat it as a whatever room. Same thing with one. If I get an extra bleed, great. Cool. It's 1 bleed. But
Yep.
you could probably use an older defense that maybe won last season. If you got a room that, hey, this one won and it wasn't really too big of a, depending on the room rules, cool. You could use them in one, knock yourself out. But I think, just like you, the room that is probably got those wheels spinning, going, who can I throw over here, is room 3. Room 3 just looks interesting, and me and Dinman are crossing every finger and toe and feet and leg and everything we got to make sure this room is not broken when it starts, because this one
Yep.
actually looks interesting. So
For the love of God, I want this room rules to work accurately.
this one looks interesting. Now that we have a couple of legendary characters that you could actually use, that are in the meta, that have meta stats, you could potentially have some fun in this room spreading positive effects to other allies, to adjacent allies that aren't legendaries, or vice versa if you want to do all 5 or whatever. But that's up to you. Be bold and see what happens. But there are a couple legendaries out there that I wouldn't mind having some positive effects spread onto others. And there's probably one fiery bastard that if he got enough positive effects, he's gonna be a pain on defense if he gets enough of them. But what's your outlook on using this room?
Well, I think you and I have a very similar outlook. Um, I'm definitely going to have Phoenix Force in there. I'm going to be running Shadow King in there to spread some positive effects as well. I'm personally going to be keeping Quasar to use in that room on offense. I could see some value in putting him on defense. I just like personally the capability to control what he's doing because he's so beneficial. And I'm probably going to be using our new buddy Blastar in that room on offense as well.
Who?
Blastar.
Um,
Blastar.
yeah, he is. He is. I did play with him a little bit. I do like the fact that you get to choose which ability you want to use. You're not constrained by ability energy, but what you are constrained, you're not really constrained. But the best bet is to get as many bomb bursts on him as possible because he just does way more damage with them, especially on his ult. His ult is ridiculous. So I'm looking forward to maybe utilizing him on offense. On defense, I don't trust him yet because he's still tiny. So it's not like we got red stars on him, but even trying to go against him, he stood around for a lot longer than I thought he would. So he's got some sustain on him, but his kit is sick. And the fact that he's not actually assisting you, he's just taking a turn along when you're taking a turn, is great. It goes right around in Professor X and it just says, well, if you're going to use the basic, I'm going to do a basic too. But I'm also going to give myself bomb burst too. So when I do finally get a turn, I'm slapping that ult on somebody. And the fact that you could get up to 1250% piercing is just ridiculous looking at his kit. It really
Yeah,
is.
it is ridiculous.
So I'm excited to see what happens. Who uses what legendary in there? Obviously, we're not going to use Iron Man. We wish, but he's not doing nothing. But the newer ones, Jesus. I do agree. Yeah, having Quasar on offense gives you more control over what you want to do with him because his abilities are really strong. And I want to target somebody that's actually going to, affect my outcome instead of just,
Mhm.
the AI going, let me just hit him. He really has no benefit, but right now I'm going to attack him. And
Yeah.
Quasar is just too strong. His passive is nuts, and his special and his alter nuts. So I'm hoping to use him well, depending on what we see in this room. But there are a few legendary characters you can put in there that could spread their positive effects that could give you some benefit. But it's all what you want to use, man. I'm excited for at least that room. The other two, I'm not. I'm not trying to jump
Not
out of my
very much.
chair right now to use them. Um, but do you got any other recommendations for people out there right now? Depending on, I mean, it does change for each league because there's only you won't see certain characters there. You won't see probably higher versions of the meta legendaries if you're in the lower leagues, but you do have a majority of characters because they give you a lot of them when you're starting out a new account. Is
You
there
bet.
any other advice can you give out there?
Well, I've got a couple things to discuss. The first one is don't forget Accursed is going to be needed on offense if you're interested in getting the command center points this weekend. All command center teams that are required on offense. So just remember that.
Okay.
And two, um, don't go crazy on defense. Do not forget that everybody has a ton of offense. And if you go insanely heavy on defense, you are almost guaranteeing yourself you're going to lose because they will still clear your rooms. They get 6 attacks. So make sure you have plenty on offense. If you don't have Professor X, my recommendation is make sure you at least keep Odin for offense. You need to approach these types of tournaments as though you know your rooms are going to get cleared. So you need to be able to clear their rooms as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, there. If you don't got some of the bigger characters, it's fine. You still can work with what you got. Probably in the lower leagues, you could probably mess around with room two and just keep them. But if you don't have Xavier, it doesn't really benefit you. I would keep Immortals on offense. A Curse definitely on offense. They can be used against heroes. They're really good. Remember that. If you're
Really,
trying to take them against villains, you potentially could win depending on who it is. But there's a lot of villains that could just come and slap a Curse in the face and just knock them right out. Even with them being a powerful CC team, they do have their little niche of, hey, Agatha could come around and just mess them all up. So
mm-hmm.
please be careful where you're using them, and please be aware who you're using them against. Because if you want to use even Azazel, if you got him, he's a speed bar character. You take him into CB, he's not doing nothing. He's not. So please don't try to use him. Although a curse does wipe out Illuminati with most characters. Even with Odin, they potentially could do it. But if you're looking at other villain characters with them, they might slap a curse. But you still got to use them on offense. I really hate that part. I wish they would put it on defense. But
Yes.
it is what it
I
is.
absolutely would
We
have
got to
put
work
them
with
on
it.
defense if it wasn't for that, for sure. I really like
Yeah,
them on defense.
I would love them on defense, but Scopely said no.
Mm-mm.
Scopely said no.
No,
So,
they slapped your hand with the mouse in it.
oof. Scopely trying to slap people around for no reason. But hopefully you guys have fun with this. I usually have fun with U32. It's 5 days in a row that we get to have some CC going on. Starts a little bit earlier in the week, which is, you're seeing this in a few hours. But start setting up your defenses, seeing what you got on offense. Try to make sure you're tackling both ends. Have enough for defense, have enough for offense, because You could go full turtle on this defense. You really could. But potentially, you could get stomped again because if you got no offense, you're not doing nothing. If you're banking on them dropping a room completely, you might end up dropping a room yourself. So try to figure out a way to balance it out. But I want to thank my good buddy Dinman for jumping on. I will put a link down to his video below for his recommendations down on it because he did do one yesterday. So should be interesting to see, especially don't get discouraged. He just likes spending money. I don't know why, but he likes spending money for some reason. It could be because of all the stuff in the background that he's got. I'd rather spend money on half of that crap he's got in the background. But Scopely wants to entice you to do stuff. But this DC should be interesting. The Room 3 is going to be great. So let's see what happens there. But gotta thank you, man. Gotta thank you, Dinman, for showing up, helping some people out. But
I love it, brother. I love it. I enjoy it every time.
But as usual, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And I will be back again trying to kidnap Dinman for another video. We'll see it then.
See ya.
Done. Doses.